just looking at the two-dimensional display node container, it's not actually doing much as far as helping us get the width and height. But I was thinking about what we could do is that whenever we add a child, remove child, we can actually just calculate the children. You're probably wondering, like, well, what about all the children underneath that? Well, those will actually already be calculated as well, so that's actually pretty safe. So what we'll do is we'll do test should calculate width and height based on children. And so what we're going to do is we're going to actually take the nodes. We have a node init. I'm going to take a couple of these, and we should be able to do we'll actually have that one, so we need var node 1, which is a two-dimensional display node, node 1 init, and 2, 3, and for good measure, we'll do 2, 3, oops, this is 2, actually what we'll do is private inline function create display node with x float y, oops, y float width float height float, and that's going to give us a two-dimensional display node. And what we need is node 1 is create display node. I'll say like 50, 99, 85, 220, and we're going to do, let's see here, node, and we're going to do var node two-dimensional display node equals new two-dimensional display node, and return node node dot x equals x, and node dot y equals y, and we've got width, height, and height. So height. Okay, so now we've got that. So now we can create that, 2, 3, and this one will be 60, 180, and see, this is an interesting thing, is that if we put this at like -80, does that change the parent? It shouldn't, right? But it does change its dimensions. So maybe this isn't as clear as it should be. So thinking through that, I think I'll get rid of that because I feel like we're going to need to set the width and height. It seems sort of counterintuitive, but it's kind of smarter that way than just picking up the children and using their children width and height. So let's go back to our pointer event manager. So we've got the registered things, and I'm struggling with a cat in my lap right now. She's hugging all my hands, so I'm actually having to work my way around her right now, which is kind of ridiculous. Like, as soon as I start typing, she starts biting my hands to be pet. It's kind of adorable, but also a little distracting. And so we have mouse move, up, down. Where did we leave off? So what we should probably do is we should probably go back to the 2D renderer, and we probably need to test these guys out real quick. So I think we're down the path that we want to do. So ka 2D renderer test. And what we need to do is we need to get our function from the init. So I think what we had decided on up, yeah, that's that, is passing all the events down. So what we could do is could just make these on move, on up public, which is probably the easiest way than trying to plug into this. You are ridiculous. I guess what we could do is we can create a mock file, so mouse notifier, mock mouse notifier.hex package mocks class mock mouse B quit. So our cat's name is B, so that you know. Mock mouse notifier implements doesn't do anything, so we're just going to do our constructor. Oh my gosh. This is like the most insane, like ultra coding right now. She's like leaning on my arm. I'm sorry, B. There's hair flying everywhere. She's pawing. This is like the thing right now. On mouse up. We're gonna call this int void. I should calm down for a second. Mouse down. That's the same thing. Mouse move, which is going to be int void, and then we've got on mouse wheel. The wheel. All right, so that'll do that. What we're going to need to do is we're going to take out some of this tracing because we don't need it, and we're going to need this input handler, which we have the interface for, so that should be okay. And so ka2d renderer test. What we're going to need to do is we're going to do should get should pass mouse up mouse down event to input notifier, right? Is that what we called it? we called it the display event mouse input handler. And so was our test hash here to that. Okay, so now what we can do is we can go here, create a private var handler. Just do this. Usually this is a lot easier to type, but can't do that with this cat technology right now. So what we're going to do is we have the display mouse handler equals new mock display mouse display event mouse input notifier. And here in the car renderer, I'm going to assign the input handler. There we go. And now what we can do is we need to restructure our render a little bit. And we're going to say if it's a test, let's say public function get mouse handlers, and it's going to be mock mouse notifier return get bar rect val mock mouse notifier equals new mock mouse notifier ret val on mouse down equals here we're going to have rf on down, but int x, int y, int, there we go. And so now, this is on down. We also do on up, and on move, on move. And one more thing is we need to do our wheel, which is on down, on wheel, wheel. And so on wheel, oops, delta, int. There we go. So those are in place. So do the easy one, which is var handler display event handler equals car render get the handlers, and now we can do handler on mouse down 0 display event. That's not the right thing. That's going to be the mock mouse notifier. Yeah. There's hair everywhere. numbers, think be int void, int void. I feel like that's on mouse down. There we go. Now we say the input like mouse display. There we go. On mouse down. Cast is not null. The button, which is 0 for verify. And I'm missing a semicolon. So this is effectively the same thing. All these. Mouse up. Mouse wheel. Mouse. Mouse up. On mouse wheel. On mouse wheel. Mouse up. Alright, so we should have 4 fails there. Mouse wheel is wrong. Now, we go back to here. This is pretty cut and dry. 205. So now oh, another exception. It should pass mouse wheel event. Mouse wheel on wheel. There we go. That should get all of our actual fails out of the way. Input handler and the on mouse down. This is nodes under point x, y. Mouse up. Mouse wheel. Delta. So that'll get those passing. Now, test should pass mouse move with items enter mouse move on render. handler nodes. Oh, we need our button. There we go, so that should pass those. Didn't, I wonder why. Mouse up. Mouse up. Mouse up, mouse up, mouse up. Well, mouse up is 321. Okay, and so now what we're going to do is we're going to say this, and say on mouse move 0, 5, 6. Just kind of ignore these because I don't really care. And what we should do is this. I should have, excuse me, should have this here as a setup, and turns, I should do width, height 10 and 20, so those will come into play. And create this, all of this. So we got our child returns 0, 0, and this returns this. We add this child to the container and we call render. Assert. So we're going to do the display handler mouse move. And we're going to get a list of nodes is not null. Mouse. So what we need to do is we need to actually take this later, so it doesn't matter right now. So it's not null. This will be 5 and 6. And this is wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's ready. This will probably pass. So what we would do is, oh, of course that would pass. We didn't actually verify anything. And so here, before we call this, we're going to say verify 0. Actually, here. And then we actually call render, and then it picks up the event. Perfect. So now, test should collect items under mouse point. So now we basically take this whole test do it here, like that. Cut this out, cut this out, and there's that. So now we should get this here. We say mouse move, and we're going to calls function args. This is irrelevant now. And what we'll do is we'll make this slightly bigger. So we'll say width height turns 100 by 200. And what we should do is we should get these in order. And so what we can do is call this to verify that happened. And now we can say var objects. And this is going to be a list of display nodes. Args 0. And now we can say var var first two-dimensional, or just call it display node. Actually, we can do the search are equal. So it should go from top down. So first thing should be this child. So here we have to move this down. First of all, we're going to search are equal to objects length. Okay, and then this first one is going to be objects. I think we can do if we get first, last, there's not like a unshift, which is kind of a bummer. So this will be the bitmap, so it's actually kind of backward. And then this one here is going to be the child. Put that here because it doesn't really matter. So that worked. Cool. So now test should not notify if should not notify unless mouse has moved. Okay, so now we can do this first test. Here, and if we do this a bunch of times, it should only verify once. And actually what we can do is we can do this here, just to make it a little bit more clear. So, 6 and 7. And then 6 and 7. So here, it's not null. I think what we need to do is we need to put this. Probably should just do the same number, because the problem is that we need to reset the mock. I'll just do this twice. This would be once. So that actually didn't make sense. So let's do here, remove them, and now that'll make sense. Yeah, what was it doing here? So it's saying that it was verified once with respect to 2. And 273. I'm going to do 6 and 7. 6 and 7 verify once. There we go. So now our COD 2D renderer test is fully tested. So that's really good. So now let's look at our mock mouse notify. We don't need that anymore. Don't need this. It's all looking very nice. So we have our COD pointer event manager, and then we have this. So let's shut this down. And so now once it goes to the display, so just display event mouse handler. So once it gets here, this is their input. Now we need to basically do what we're doing with our mouse input source. We do basically this, and then pass this off to our tool if we need to. We're not passing it to, I'm sorry, we're going to just execute the event. So what we need to do, this is the point where this and the event registry, the event manager, kind of interact with each other. So now we can create a new class. We're going to call this event handler display event. Call it the display event mouse input handler delegate, I guess. Kind of works, I suppose. So implements display event mouse handler. I just hate that name, it's just so long. So there's that. So we get our list of display nodes, so this actually handles that. Now, what we need to do is we need to, I think we're going to need to add a couple things to our display node. And actually, to our display node container, I'm actually thinking about adding like disabled, so it basically disables everything below it. Or I don't like following the flash open a file thing, but it actually is pretty good, which is mouse children. Is a get set rule, and there's also mouse enabled. So I can actually put that on the display node, so we can actually disable things. Oops, we don't need that, it's so far up. So, oops, var mouse enabled. Google. So here, the mouse children is just a straight up getter and setter, so we're just going to go here. Ooh. Mouse children, and I'm going to make these public. Mouse children, why does it come in as a uint? This is totally wrong. And set our mouse children. And then we need to go back up here to display node container. Where's that? Display node container. Oh, was there? That's num children. So that was correct. Mouse children. Mouse children. That was really ridiculous. Okay. Now display node. It's going to have mouse enabled. So here, oh, I see why that was a weird thing. Enabled, and put that here as getter and setter, mouse enabled. Running at a low on battery, but we're getting there. Okay, so now this puts us at the two-dimensional display node, which isn't working yet. So I'm going to do implements mouse enabled, and get set. I'll put that just down here. So this is going to be getter and setter. So like that. And so now we need the two-dimensional display node container, and we're going to need to implement the mouse children. This is going to be getter and setter, and we're just going to do getter setter here, mouse children. I'll make this public. And there we have it. So that's all in place now. Now, go back to this, the delegate. Now, let's close others. Hexlib, run, munit, create, input, dot, this, test. Display, there we go. Get our mocks in there. And there we have it. So we're going to say PRV. This is going to be our delegate display event handler, display event mouse input handler input. Okay, and so I think that just screwed some things up. So just the game world. Whoa, get checkout. So that is wrong. This is definitely weird. Pointing input. Get checkout, sources to sources. What is this? Input. Get status. I think the rest is definitely something we did work on. Get add test. Alright, so back to here. So now delegate equals new display delegate, and then delegate init. So we have that in place. So one more thing we need to do is we need to, these are called outside of this. It's effectively going to be this stuff. No, that's not true. Yes, it is. It's quite a bit true, actually. So what we need to do is we need to input tools. So those are the tools. It's a lot of the similar stuff. I think what we're going to do, we're going to need the object creator. Okay. Let me think about this. So this is going to check for the events. And where's the pointer event manager? So these are all the different things. This is the pointer event. Mouse wheel value. Up, down, click, move. Yeah, so this is going to be very similar to this input mouse source. So something else we're going to need is we're going to need not the object creator, it's the event inject keyboard tools, pointer event manager, pointer event manager. And so this is going to say, no, this isn't the point. It's technically going to be the same implementation class. What we need to do is we need to create another interface, which is going to be actually, you know what's even better is if we do source listener. There we go. Pointing input source listener. Pointing input source listener. Pointing input source listener. No, I guess we'll do this. And so that's actually perfect. That's exactly what we want. So now we're going to need to be this is going to be our object creator, and then our source listener, pointing input source listener. And we just need to pass these along. Object creator is mock object creator, and source listener equals mock source listener. Okay, so do we have an implementation of this? Pointing tool. So we're not actually using this. Oh, there we go. Mouse input source, com mouse input source. Really? Com mouse input source. That's this. Okay. So this one is getting the mouse input source here, which is effectively what I'm going to be building on the other piece. But then instead of talking to the tool, we would be passing the event to the event register, this thing. Pointer event manager. Not true. So this passes down to yeah, so that's going to go to this pointer event. That's not going to work that well. Pointer event. We're going to need here on the pointer event, which is the target. It's going to be a display node. And this is going to be display delegate. Pointing input source listener to dimensional display node container is var. So I think we may have this delegate object creator is object creator to dimensional display container. What do you want from me? Two-dimensional display node container. 925. Okay. Oh, is var. Delegate source listener. Source listener equals source listener. So now we would say something like test should. It basically goes down to this tool that we have here, this stuff. And instead of passing it to the tool, we pass it to the input source listener. And this actually kind of goes away. And then we rebuild it for something else. So this is the ca mouse input source test. It's effectively all this stuff. Just packaged better. So here, it's kind of an interesting little refactor here. So should capture left mouse down and pass to source listener. Wait a minute. No, I got this wrong. No, I got this right. It might be easier. Let's go back to this. So what we need to do is we need to grab the nodes, traverse through the nodes, and then find out which one the target is. So this is actually doing kind of multiple jobs. So what we can do is we can do could do this, and now just comment most of this out. And what we would want to do is capture left mouse down and pass to should locate target display and pass event to source listener. So here, this will be delegate mouse down of our nodes list display node new list of display node, and now we're going to get put this here, and nodes equals that. So we're almost out of battery, but we just want to get this last one in place. So what we're going to do is we're going to do private inline function create display, and this will be mouse enabled boolean mouse children boolean void, and this is going to be var ret val. No, it's not a void. This is display node. Ret val equals mock display node container. It's mock display node container. Ret val get mouse enabled returns mouse enabled mouse children mouse children display node container return ret val. So there's that. So here's our list. So we can say var display create display node. Create display true and false. And we're going to work on our nodes push display. Delegate mouse down. We're going to give it the nodes. And now our source listener on pointer down we'll do cast is not null, verify there. Oh my gosh, we're so close to running out of battery. And then we're going to do source listener on pointer down, cast is not null, calls function args void var pointer event equals args 0. So we got that here. Now assert our equal expected, which would be our display. This is going to be a pointer event target, and we're going to do our x. This is pointer event screen x, screen y. There we go. And run it. Okay, there's our fail. Actually failed, yes. So we don't need this open right now. I'm going to leave that open. Need that. We need our delegate on mouse down. We're going to say our target is a display node equals nodes find target. Nodes, we're so tight right now. Our F find target nodes list display node, and an inline function. What we're going to do is we're going to need to go through. It's going to give us a display node. I'm going to come from the top, so this is for node and nodes. That's spelled wrong. So if node oops, is mouse enabled. So it's the first one that's enabled. And mouse children are false, so we need to find that appropriately. So this is fine for now. And that'll be fine. So mouse enabled, we're going to return. So we're just going to break var val. We've got way more to do with this. Display node equals null and ret val equals node return node. So we get our target, and then we're going to get our object creator, create instance of pointer event, and what are we doing? We're going to do private inline function. Yep, here ya. Create pointer event is going to be our target. X, Y, display node X, int, Y, int, pointer event, var, val, pointer event, pointer event, val target equals target, val screen x equals x, val screen y equals y, return val, and now no. And so now val pointer event var pointer event pointer event equals create pointer event. Target would be this, and then this would pass to pointing input source listener on pointer down pointer event. And if that doesn't pass, we're out of battery anyways. So git add test, git add sources, git status, git commit. No, 52. Oh, red val. Added tests for events to the renderer and started, what the hell, 26. Create pointer event. Oh. Mouse X, mouse Y. And started passing the events to handler. Git push origin or Skylar master. Don't want to do that. Alright, we're out of batteries. So that's it for today. Happy coding. See you guys Monday.